This program is brought to you by Newsworks in cooperation with Eau Claire County. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9.
I am pleased to call this meeting of the Eau Claire County Board of Supervisors to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of reflection by Supervisor Sue Miller. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, we are in the midst of a bustling holiday season, with Christmas just a few days away. Like so many others, I found myself scrambling to turn out Christmas cards, plus an added letter to people around the country that I rarely see anymore. I always tell myself that I'm going to start that letter earlier in the year, so I remember some of the highlights that I want to share with them. But do I do that? Nah. So there I was, sitting in front of my computer, trying to think back, what the heck did I do this year that I'd really want to tell them about it? And then my mind started drifting to thoughts of all the other events around the world that people had to endure. Natural disasters such as hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, and the man-made ones in the form of terrorist attacks and mass shootings. Through all of these, the resolve and resiliency of those affected was remarkable, and hopefully something we won't have to ever experience. But equally remarkable was the outpouring of help from neighbors and strangers alike. For those with financial means, they opened up their checkbooks. For those with less financial resources, they opened up their hearts. We heard or read one story after another, how people came together to provide shelter, food, clothing, or other items so as to bring a little comfort to those that were so devastated. We often hear that the holiday season is a season of giving, a season of peace and love. Quite frankly, I don't believe it is boxed within a few weeks or a month, but rather it is something that occurs throughout the year. None of us know what life may throw at us at any time, but I believe we can all be stronger when we work together to lessen a burden, when we work together to bring about change, when we work together to bring about peace. In closing, I'd like to wish everyone here tonight and our viewing and listening audiences and the people of Eau Claire County a very merry and enjoyable Christmas, and may we all work together for a peaceful new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Miller. Now, if supervisors would please take your keypads and indicate your presence here this evening, and we'll confirm that we have a quorum. That's it. We have 23 present. We have a quorum. We'll move on to the approval of the journal proceedings from December 5th. You'll find that on pages 4 to 6 of the meeting packet. Are there any suggested changes to the journal proceedings as drafted? I see no suggestions. I'd look for a motion to approve. A motion by Supervisor Smyer, second by Supervisor Henning. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor please say aye. Aye. Opposed no. The motion passes and the journal proceedings are approved. Public comment. This is an opportunity at each meeting for members of the public to address the board. No one signed up. I'll ask if there's anyone from the public here this evening who would like to speak for up to 3 minutes on whatever they'd like to talk about. And I don't see anyone stepping forward, so we'll move on to reports to the county board, and it's the annual Land Conservation Awards, and I'd like to recognize Greg Leonard. So Greg would come forward to handle this. I'd appreciate it. Greg is our Land Conservation Manager, and I see In the wings, Supervisor Robin Leary, the Chair of the Land Conservation Commission. So welcome, Greg, and almost Robin. I know you're... Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Tonight we're going to take a moment to reflect on a past year of some of the conservation achievements within the county. These are not the only conservation achievements. I want to really emphasize that we do have many over the year, and these are just some of our highlights. This year, as we always do, we host the annual Youth Conservation Speaking Contest. And this year we had an outstanding speaker from the Wildlands Middle School, Ava Black. She had a speech which was entitled Great Lakes and Great Loss. Also on an annual basis, Eau Claire County co-hosts with Chippewa County our annual land judging contest. This is a competition which the high school students have the opportunity to try to build their skills on identifying the properties of the soil and the land and try to apply conservation practices to that process and try to really try to get literally in the dirt and learn what they are doing. And as you can see on the pictures here, they literally do get into the soil pits. This year, the contest was hosted by Bears Grass Dairy down near Augusta. And congratulations go to Cornell High School, and they were the winners for this year's contest. Each year we try to recognize a conservation farmer, and sometimes this is a challenge for us to find the right operation or the right operator for this worthy award. Steve and Leslie have been farming in the Foster area since 1998. Their farm is a beef, cow, and calf operation, which includes raising forage and cash crops. In 2007, they installed a barnyard runoff control system to help prevent manure runoff from around the barnyard area. On the pastures where the cattle graze during the summer, the Strides practice rotational grazing system to keep the vegetation growing, which helps prevent erosion and runoff from these pastured fields. On the cropland, Steve and Leslie try to maintain good soil health. To do this, they rotate the row crops with hay and small grains and plant many of their fields using no-till methods. For the last few years, Steve has incorporated cover crops, including rye, oats, radishes, crimson clover, and red clover into his rotations. These cover crops are generally not even harvested, but sometimes are grazed to help with the manure management. Steve has also been developing and implementing his own nutrient management plan, which helps him reduce the need for commercial fertilizer by crediting the nutrients he already has on his farm. This nutrient plan helps him focus his manure applications to the fields that need it, and to save it, and not just to apply it where it's convenient for him. They also treat the land they rent just like their own. Some of the landowners really do appreciate the fact that they keep hay and grains in the rotation, which can also help control erosion. Steve is also very active in the formation of the Golden Triangle Agricultural Enterprise Area, which is a part of the Farmland Preservation Program. As Steve stated, the goal is to pass on to the next generation productive farmland, and if we aren't actively doing this, it won't happen. Off the farm, they are also very active in youth education. They are active in the FFA alumni, and Steve has been president of Eau Claire County Farm Bureau for the past 3 years. Steve was also involved in the initial selection process for Farm Technology Days 2020, and he volunteered this year at Farm City Days, helping give tours to students in the Eau Claire, Chippewa, and Dunn counties. Please help me to say thank you to Steve and Leslie. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
All right,
Yeah,
thank
sure.
you.
Oh, Well, thank you very much. Truly an honor to be the recipient of that award. Greg called here a couple weeks ago and said we were the recipients, and first thing I said was, why? I said we don't do anything big or fancy, and he said it's not so much about big and fancy. He said it's all the little things that you do along the way over the years, and the way you approach things and the way you think about things. And I started making a list in my mind about little things we have done over the years, and I thought, it did add up. There was quite a few things. And one thing I've always believed is that we are only the chosen few are truly blessed with the opportunity to feed and clothe the world. And we just happen to be lucky enough to be one of those chosen few. And it always has been a goal of ours on the farm to leave something to turn over to the next generation, and so that they can be caretakers and stewards of the land like we are, and to leave it in better shape than the way we found it. So that's what we're going to continue to do. And again, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It truly is an honor to receive that award.
Hey.
Our next award recipient is known for being a little camera shy. But with some help, we were able to find a few pictures. Mark Zuber is being recognized for a Water Quality Leadership Award. Mark has a passion. His passion is teaching. For 33 years, Mr. Zuber has taught high school agriculture. For 32 of those years at Mondovi High School. During those years, he taught hundreds of bright young minds the importance of agriculture. But woven into his teaching was the basics of conservation. On his own farm, he practiced what he taught. Over the years, he has incorporated many conservation practices on his hilly farm. Most of his steep fields are now planted back in a native grass and pollinator habitat. The wetland areas on his farm are protected with buffers, and his woodland is protected and managed under the Managed Forest Program. During his teaching years, Mark was also a member of Wisconsin Association of Agricultural Instructors and served as vice president for 2 years. He also served on the board of directors for the State FFA Center for 5 years. Mark stated that since he has retired from teaching, he was able to cut down his weekly hours from 80 to 100 that he was used to do, down to a more manageable 40 to 60 hours. He is currently the town clerk, a position which he has held for the past 10 years. He has also recently volunteered time to serve on the Ag Subcommittee for the Comprehensive Zoning Code update. But Mark's passion for teaching did not end with his retirement. Our office annually hosts workshops to help farmers update and develop nutrient management plans. We've learned that many of the farms who know Mark turn to Mr. Zuber for additional assistance in developing and updating their plans. There is a quote that I would like to share with you. If your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. I believe Mark Zuber's plan is for the long haul. Please help me to say thank you to Mark Zuber.
You'll regret clapping. First off, when Greg was going through his land conservation activities for the year, he said something to an ag teacher that was very, very awful. He said the kids got into the pits and played with the dirt. Dirt is soil that gets on the bottom of your shoes when you walk into your wife's clean kitchen. Otherwise, we refer to it as soil. One other thing that Greg didn't understand is you never give a retired teacher a podium. We have it ingrained into us that 45, 50 minutes. So check your clock. I would like to extend thank yous to the Land Conservation Department for presenting me with this award. I also would like to introduce you to my wife, because behind every good man is a better woman. So my wife of 43 years, would you stand up, please, Karen? I often tell people that if you wonder why I am the way I am, it's because of her. So she took me for the good and the bad. I also would like to commend all of you as board members for your service. I'm sure people are calling you up every night and saying, we really appreciate the job you're doing. Well, I do, and congratulations to you too. Good night.
Well, now we're going to do something a little bit different. Are you going to turn it on first?
Only when he's ready to
All
start.
right. Tonight, the Land Conservation Commission would like to present a special award to a former supervisor, Bruce Willett. Bruce has served on the county board for many, many years. He served on committees like the Parks and Forest Committee, Land Conservation Commission. He was very, very active with the Beaver Creek Reserve. And then when we started the Land Stewardship Commission, he was very active with that. And as we just heard, sometimes those little things add up over the years to make a really big impact. Bruce had leadership when he was on the county board as chair, and he continued to exert that leadership all throughout his time as a supervisor. We want to present this award to Bruce to say thank you. Thank you for all your work that has paved the way so that we have a county that people want to visit as a tourist, so that people want to raise their families, and we will have a future that is safe and secure with our environment. Bruce, thank you very much. We'd like to present this award. We'll be mailing it to him, but we would like to present this. It says special recognition presented to Bruce Willett for his contributions to the long-term conservation of Eau Claire County, and it's presented by the Eau Claire County Land Conservation Commission, December 2017.
Bruce, would you like to say anything?
Did you ever find a time when I wouldn't like to say anything? First of all, I feel really flattered and thankful for this kind of recognition. I know every year we did this, and it was always impressed to me that so many people are involved in conservation. I would like to say that this award would be more for the 3 counties on which I served. I was fortunate, as I have been for most of my life, to be on 3 committees that I wanted to be on, mainly the Parks and Forest, the Land Conservation, and the Land Stewardship Committee. And those people on that committee deserve the overall thanks of the community for the work they have done. They listen to the people so that we get ideas that go from bottom up instead of from top down. And this is why good for everyone. I really feel that because we have provided a pipeline for people to express their concerns for conservation and the environment, it has been successful. When I first got on the board 23 years ago, I wonder what was my job here? And I think, well, I guess it's caring for people and then caring for the environment so that we can enjoy the best that is. Let me tell you emphatically that Eau Claire area is one of the nicest places in the state to live. And I think that after 460 meetings, and I attended on the county board, I feel that I've been pretty well immersed in county politics. But among other things that I found, besides the challenges of the county, was that I've met some of the finest people I've ever known in my 92 years of life. And life keeps moving along. And Andy Rooney always said it's kind of like a roll of toilet paper. The nearer you get to the end, the faster it goes. Certainly move along, but I just want to say that the board members have been in operation committee themselves. And I won't name names, but there are a number who I could amplify in certain ways because of the excellent job we did. But conservation is so important for the next generation. Each time I voted, I would think, how's this going to affect the next generation to choose? And I'm quite satisfied that the committees and my participation in it will be helpful for future generations. So thanks very much for the honor, and I'm amazed at the technology that enables me to be there in picture anyhow, but I wish I were there physically, but certainly, but I will time to say thanks, board members, for being an inspiration to me. That's all.
You're about to be disconnected, Bruce, so don't say anything inappropriate because you're still connected here, but we're going to say goodbye momentarily. Thank you again for all your service, and there we go. Okay. I wanted to avoid the blooper situation. The guy who thought he was off mic, it wasn't, and then YouTube or... At any rate, okay, great.
Thank you. With tonight's conservation awards, we do have one final recognition for someone's achievements in conservation. And to help with tonight's presentation, I've asked Lynn Harrison. He's the vice chair of the State Land and Water Conservation Board. So, Lynn?
Great.
Thank you, Greg. You have a person that is really dedicated to conservation. I mean, she's the chairman of your committee, but I don't know how many of you knew that she was on the State Land and Water Conservation Board. She served 3 terms, and that term that she's on, you can serve until your replacement is appointed. And she served 2 more years, and we still couldn't find a replacement for her, so she finally resigned. So, Robin, on behalf of the State Land and Water Conservation Board, we would like to present you with this plaque in appreciation of your service to the state of Wisconsin and the State Land and Water Conservation Board.
Well, thank you. Well, this is unexpected, but very, very nice. The opportunity to serve on the Land and Water Conservation Board came about a few years ago, and I, at the time, never thought I could get it, but I was very pleased when then State Senate approved. I think I was the first Democrat to be approved in many years because they'd had a standoff. And so it was an unlikely event, but I was very pleased, and I always tried to serve in a manner that was fair and impartial so that we could uphold the standards that our state is so proud of. And I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you.
So one more round of applause for all of the award recipients. Thank you, folks. Really. That's very appreciated, so thank you. Moving on, presentation on the Indian Head Federated Library System. We have John Thompson, the director of the Indian Head Federated Library System, and Pamela Westby. Pamela is the director of the L.A. Phillips Memorial Public Library here in the city of Eau Claire. And welcome to the 2 of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank Catherine for inviting us to present about the library system. And Pamela is going to do the technical setup while I start chatting. I am John Thompson. I've been the director of the Indian Head Federated Library System for just over 10 years now. I did spend a few decade and a half as a library director in the southern part of the state. So I've been working in libraries for quite a while, and I'm looking around the room and I'm trying to remember if any of you were on the county board the last time the county updated their county library plan. And it's probably due for an update soon. But that's one of the things that we do as a library system is to help libraries with different planning. So there is a copy of the presentation on your desk as well as a brochure about the MORE system. This is the catalog that we share with 49 libraries within our system area. So we are one of 16 library systems in the state of Wisconsin. We serve 53 public libraries in a 10-county region. Our region is just under 8,000 square miles, and we serve over 460,000 individuals. About half of those have library cards, so we have a pretty good number of folks doing that. As you can see, most of our libraries are on the western side of our library system area. Our headquarters is here in the city of Eau Claire. We're just down the road on Truex Boulevard. Most of our funding does come from the state of Wisconsin. We receive about $1.1 million from the state. That amount of money has remained about the same for the last 8, 9, 10 years. We did see a slight increase for 2018. With those funds, we are required by state statute to provide certain services to all of our public libraries. We do that in consultation with our system board. We have a 20-member system board. There are 3 representatives that are appointed from Eau Claire County to serve on that board, and then we have an additional member who represents the Resource Library in Eau Claire. We also have an advisory council which is made up of library directors from each of the 10 counties, and then 2 representatives that are from libraries that are not public libraries within our system area. So we have an individual that serves from Mayo Health Systems right now and somebody from the Eau Claire School District. I'm not going to read this, but this is our mission statement and our vision statement. Really, our purpose is to provide the wherewithal for the libraries to do their job better, to serve the residents that they serve. So what do we do with all that money that we get? We provide courier service to our libraries, so we're moving millions of books back and forth between those 49 libraries on a regular basis. Hopefully we get them to the libraries within a couple of days from one point to the next. So whether you're in Park Falls or in Eau Claire, we want to make sure those materials move as quickly as possible. We provide consulting for our member libraries. We provide continuing education. We also provide technology support. We have worked with the Sync Network in Eau Claire County and the city of Eau Claire, and we are able to partner with that organization to provide some internet service as well as doing web support for all our libraries within our system area. We also provide interlibrary loan. So what is interlibrary loan? That's the ability to borrow materials from another library that's not in our system. So if you've got a title that you can't find locally, you might not be able to find it in Wisconsin. We can go all the way to California, all the way to New York, all the way to Maine, and bring those items to you at no cost. MORE, which is our shared automation system, which is the brochures all about, you have access to that catalog from your home. You can get it, place a hold, and have that book picked up at any of those 49 libraries. We also do a lot of group purchasing for our libraries. I think our building's about 20 years old. The one thing that we didn't build was a loading dock. So every year we do a group order of supplies. So we order paper, we order cases for DVDs. They come to us on pallets from a semi-truck. So someday you may see 10 of us standing outside unloading a semi and bringing it in. We do that for our member libraries so that it helps them reduce their costs for supplies. So it's a great benefit to them. As I said, we are funded by the state of Wisconsin, so we are required to file an annual plan of how we're going to provide services to our libraries to meet those statutory requirements. We have to check and say, yes, we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing, and here's how we're doing it. And then every March, just like the public libraries, we're required to submit an annual report and say, yes, this is what we did. in the year before. So they balance those plans and those reports to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. So some of the things that we've done, we've been working with a poverty task force that we've developed specific for libraries to help deal with issues with poverty in their communities. We work with not only library staff, but library boards. So if they have an issue that they need help with, we're there to help consult with them. We'll also consult with county boards. So when it's time to do the new Eau Claire County Library Plan, we're available to provide assistance. We'll attend meetings, whether it's day or night. That's part of our job. We've also been working with a technology collaboration with Wisconsin Valley Library Service, which is our neighboring system. We have a data center located in the Chippewa Valley Technical College in their data center. So we've been sharing server space. So our Moore catalog is housed there. The catalog from Wisconsin Valley is also housed there, and we just brought on the catalog from Northern Waters there. So we are trying to leverage those resources and make better use of our tax dollars. And like I had mentioned before, we're part of the SYNC network. So in 2016, we made 282 visits to libraries in our system area. We'll do new director orientation, we'll do all kinds of different training, we'll do consulting. So if a library needs to hire a new director, we can help sit in on the interview process. We can do facility planning, we can help with advocacy, we can do pretty much whatever. The list continues to go on and on and on. We'll do pretty much whatever the libraries need us to do for them. Pam said I don't work the circ desk. Well, I've done that occasionally. I'm not very good at it anymore. No, but really, we're there to help the libraries in Eau Claire. There are 5 public libraries, and we've got this is a little hard to see, but this lists all the websites for each of the 5 libraries. So they pretty much run the gamut along Highway 12 from one end of the county to the other. And they all provide a unique set of services. There are just over 300,000 items that are owned by one of the libraries within Eau Claire County. With the Moore system, they have access to over 1 million items that they can get basically at their fingertips. As part of that collection, there's also e-resources that are available, whether it's a downloadable book, a downloadable audio resource, and downloadable magazines. So there's a variety of other resources that they can get when the library is closed. While there are only 49 of the 53 libraries on the Moore system, residents within our system area are able to check out anything at any of the 53 libraries that are within our system area. In Eau Claire County, there are just over 55,000 registered cardholders. They made over 540,000 visits to a library within Eau Claire. Over 1 million items were checked out. There were 85,000 computer uses, and over 35,000 people attended a library program at one of the 5 libraries. So I'm going to turn to Pamela a little bit too here. The examples that are on some of these slides are from libraries within Eau Claire County. So the first slide really is from a couple of events that Eau Claire had done. So I'll turn it over to Pamela and she can walk through some of the remaining slides.
Right, so I want to dispel any preconceived myths that you have that libraries are dusty warehouses filled with books. Libraries are alive and well and thriving, reaching out, offering early preschool story times, which is the first really contact with educational resources even before they start school. So getting those books in children's hands and in the parents' hands are really important, as well as offering career development opportunities and job searching. Our librarians help people every day with local history searches and genealogy research. We have people coming in as groups as well, like the Chippewa Valley Retirement Group and Boy Scouts and so forth. Literacy, of course, is one of our main pillars at the library, but literacy means so many things in today's world. Language learning, information literacy, you've heard of fake news, perhaps. Librarians can help our customers navigate the fake news and what is reliable and resources that they can trust. There's technology literacy. We check out Wi-Fi hotspots for people to use at home at no cost. We have financial literacy resources as well. Another thing that the library is really increasing in numbers is activities and programming. And this has become really the bread and butter of a lot of public libraries. In Eau Claire, we are offering innovation and creative opportunities to educate and inspire people through our Dabble Box. And our Dabble Box offers hands-on learning that you may be familiar with from the 1970s when you had a sewing machine at your hand or you took shop. And those types of hands-on learning is what we're seeing a lot of our younger folks are missing out on. So the library is a good place to come and interact with other people, local experts, as well as librarians, and get to know one another. Connecting communities. With 1,000 people coming through our door every day, there's opportunities to interact with people in our community. And one way that we've tried to bring people together on important civic discussion issues is our One Book, One Community. If you are familiar with that, we ran that at the beginning of this year, and we'll be running it again in April. We have critical resources in order to help people succeed in today's world, navigating the many nonprofit organizations here in Eau Claire, and that's one way that we help folks help themselves. And lastly, I'd like to point out that we have a traveling library in many different ways. You may have heard of the Book Bike that we launched last year, and our story times that we take on the road out to agencies who are delivering early literacy type services, and our home delivery for those who are unable to get out on their own or have some disability or some barrier that's keeping them from coming to the library. So I'm going to turn it back to John.
I don't know if anybody has any questions or things that they would like.
Thank you very much. Any questions for John or Pamela this evening? Supervisor Mortimer.
A comment and a thank you to the Ellie Phillips Memorial Public Library and also the other libraries in the county too for providing resources such as Foundation Directory and other philanthropy resources, and had a couple of volunteers and a couple of students over the years with local nonprofits doing research at the library, looking for prospective foundations, and wrote 5-figure grants for local foundations, including the Chippewa Valley Free Clinic many years ago, and also Apple Pregnancy Care Center. Those grants would not have ever been found without that very expensive resource online provided by going in at the library. So thank you for those, and just does a great service to our community.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I don't see any. John and Pamela, thank you.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you,
very much.
Catherine, for inviting us.
Thank you. Those are our oral reports this evening. We've got the written report on the contingency fund, of course, that you'll find in your meeting packet on page 7. And we'll move on to presentation of petitions, claims, and communications. There's a couple of items of correspondence in your packet. And I know I'd like to recognize Supervisor Miller, who I know has an announcement this evening.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. What I wanted to do very quickly is, if you recall last summer, the board took some action to move the nutrition program services, Meals on Wheels and the congregate meal site, to the ADRC oversight. As you know, we were having difficulty finding cost-efficient and cost-effective bidders and all of that. At the time, there were a few individuals who were concerned that maybe we were moving too fast, it was too much to take on, and so on. Well, I'm here to tell you tonight, it is a wonderful success. The staff are excited, the individuals receiving the service are excited. There's a handout on your desk that you can see, it's very brief, but the Meals on Wheels started serving on November 13th, and they started servicing the congregate meal sites on December 11, 3 weeks ahead of schedule. So they are going like gangbusters. In between our action last summer and the start of the program, they were able to obviously hire some very qualified staff to run the kitchen. They were able to obtain a couple of vans to help, and these were donated, to deliver the meals and bring them into Eau Claire or various sources of where they had drop-off points. They were able to get an innovation grant from the county to help purchase brand new kitchen equipment, and the vendor gave them a heck of a deal on top of that. And the department also received a small grant from a state agent organization to provide some expertise in the actual kitchen setup and policies and procedures and performance and that type of thing. To date, the program experienced 57 new participants since the inception of taking over the program, which is just phenomenal. I haven't seen a surge like that. But what is remarkable are some of the comments, and I hope you don't have to do it right now, but I hope you do take a few moments to read some of them. They're just astounding. One in particular, I think that almost brought tears to all of our eyes at the ADRC board member was, "The meals are so good now, I don't remember the last time I had real mashed potatoes." Unbelievable to think that somebody felt that strongly, that they called in. We also have had individuals agreeing to even donate more than what the asking donation is, because they are so pleased with the way things are going. It's been a transition, most definitely. I knew, most of the board members knew the staff were up to the challenge, and of course there will be more challenges ahead if this number continues to increase on that kind of a pace. But it is phenomenal. So on behalf of the ADRC board, I want to thank all of you for your trust in that department in accomplishing the service for our elderly. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that announcement, Sue, or Supervisor Miller. Any other announcements this evening? Let me just note that Keith Zane's Corp Counsel is under the weather, so we are pleased to have Assistant Corp Counsel Tim Sullivan with us this evening. So if there's any legal questions, Tim will help out. Moving on then to agenda item 8, first reading of ordinances by committees, file 87.
This ordinance eliminates the Industrial Development Agency.
We'll bring that back at our next meeting, which is Tuesday, January 16th, I believe. File 89.
That section of 2.04.010 A, C, and E of the code be amended to read Rule 1 meetings.
And once again, we'll bring that back at our next meeting in file 92.
To repeal and recreate section 10.81.030 D of the code, restricted parking areas.
And likewise, being an ordinance, we'll bring that back to our next meeting. Agenda item 10, reports of standing committees, and we'll start with file 68.
This ordinance makes changes to Title 16, Public Lands and Forest in the county code for the strategic plan process.
Let's see, okay, where are you at here? 68, on the county land use sales, okay, all right, just want to make sure we're on the right one. Okay, may I have a motion, please? A motion by Supervisor Leary with a second by Supervisor Schroffnagel, and an explanation by Supervisor Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This particular part of our responsibility this evening, again, has to do with getting our code up to date. And this area happens to be in parks and forests and lands. Some of the provisions that board members will see here note that they refer to parts of the code that no longer exist, so they've been removed. And they cover other areas of the code where there's duplicative language, making it more clear. They update the code to reflect current practices, in particular in areas where they've been doing it the same way for quite a long period of time. Now it's in the code as that practice. And it's also areas where really they have changed the way that they hire in certain areas because of liability risks and not having compensation, workman's compensation in some contracts. And that was eliminated 2 years ago. So basically it just brings it up to date, clarifies the language. And the last thing that you need to know, of course, is there's no fiscal impact with any of these changes.
Thank you for the explanation. Any questions for Supervisor Bates or any discussion on this matter? Any questions or discussion? I see none. It appears you're ready to vote, so please take your keypads and vote. The motion before us concerns file 68, and the motion is to repeal and edit and modify sections of the code as described. That motion is adopted unanimously. File 75.
This ordinance makes changes to Title II, Administration, and Title IX, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare of the county code per the strategic plan process.
May I have a motion, please? Motion by Supervisor Gatlin, second by Supervisor Cronk, and an explanation by Supervisor Bates.
Thank you. Once again, this is simply again a part of our process of cleaning up the code. It'll address some legal citations, footnotes, a typo. It corrects some statistics or code references, corrects grammar. It also corrects duplicate language and correcting a formatting and a time reference for camping. So again, no fiscal impact.
Thank you very much. Once again, any questions for Supervisor Bates or discussion on this matter? I see none, so please vote on the motion, which is file 75, to amend sections of the county code in titles 2 and 9. And that motion is adopted unanimously. Also, file 70.
To amend section 3.20.010E of the code, benefits of elected officials.
May I have a motion, please? A motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor LaBelle, and an explanation by Supervisor Clark.
Thank you. This is something that we do annually following the budget. This amends the code so that the sheriff's clothing allowance is included. We hope that at the beginning of the next four-year term, when salaries are set, this will be included in the code, in that salary listing, so that it doesn't have to be taken up every year. But for right now, the money is in the budget, and we need to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Supervisor Clark or discussion on this matter? I see none, so please vote on the motion. It's concerning file 70 to amend the sections of the code concerning benefits of the sheriff. That motion's adopted unanimously. File 85.
To repeal section 3.85.005A of the code, definitions, and to repeal section 3.85.015C of the code, qualifications.
Once again, I'd look for a motion concerning this. Motion by Supervisor Clark with a second by Supervisor Wilkie. And look to Supervisor Clark for an explanation.
Thank you. As all of you know, recruitment is a pretty strategic issue, not just for Eau Claire County, but nationwide. Recruitment for law enforcement, correctional officers, and so on. And it has been the practice for Eau Claire County to require applicants to take a written exam for part of the recruitment process. It has been determined that that exam really slows down the recruitment process considerably. Plus, statistics have shown that it really doesn't bear a whole lot of relevance to the job at hand. It is not required for certification, and Human Resources and the Sheriff's Office have been working together to try to come up with some solutions. And one of the things they came up with was to eliminate this written examination from that whole recruitment process. We'll speed things up, and it should provide some good recruits. I urge your support.
Thank you for the explanation. Questions or discussion on this? Supervisor Olson.
Thank you, Chairman Moore. Just a couple questions for you, Supervisor Clark. This test was basically just a civil service test, correct? It wasn't part of any psych evaluation or anything. Is that still part of the testing process?
I think maybe Catherine can answer that, but I think there's still a psych evaluation, but this is just simply a written test, which, like you say,
It's basically a civil service.
basically a civil service exam, and it really didn't relate to the job.
Catherine, can you add anything more? And maybe you can, which is
No,
fine.
I cannot.
Oh. And the sheriff's not here, but maybe Supervisor Wilkie might be able to, okay?
Psych exam is still required, as well as the physical requirements. The parts of that written exam are really addressed through the interview process and the training process. So they felt that it really didn't give them anything other than to slow down the hiring process. Psych exam still happens, physical requirements still need to be met.
But I just said, no, it wasn't any of that was listed in the fact sheet, so I just wanted to
get that
get an
clarified.
idea so that, you know, we knew what was still being required. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? I see none, so please vote on file 85, the motion concerning section 3.85 of the code. And that motion's adopted unanimously. Moving on to file 91.
This ordinance makes changes to Title II, Administration of the County Code per the strategic plan process.
May I have a motion, please? A motion by Supervisor DeLuca, with a second by Supervisor Cronk. An explanation by Supervisor Gibson.
Thank you, Chairman Moore. A lot of this is cleanup and to take out the language, because the FDA, the Federal Disaster Assistance Committee, is pretty much non-existent anymore, and I think the last time they met was 8 years ago or more. I mean, it's been a long, long time. So that's been changed. So, you know, what we're hoping to achieve, our goal is to have, like all the ordinances resulting from the review process, which go through planning and development, would come to, would be submitted to the county board prior to January 1st of 2019.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Supervisor Gibson or discussion on this matter? Supervisor Cronin.
Thank you. page 32, the last paragraph, especially the last two sentences, could you give me a little explanation on that here?
So let's see, page 32, and what is it on the authority to declare emergencies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know that, Gary, or Tim, would you know that by chance?
I'm not real sure, but I think some of that has to do with the federal emergency and that process, I'm thinking. But maybe court counsel could answer that better than me. Because I know the last disaster we had, we went through that whole entire process and, tried to get aid, but.
Oh, I'm sorry, sorry, Jim, just 1 second. Okay, you're on.
Basically, what it's saying there, as I understand it, are you questioning about the payment provision? Is that what you're concerned about?
No, it says any expenditures for services rendered in participating municipalities shall be paid by such municipalities.
Correct.
And it's fairly self-explanatory, except I'm wondering about the intent, or what is that? Explain that a little bit more.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of that.
The intent, what the intent on that is, or? It's a little unclear to me what the new language is in the code.
Well, I'm not sure what the intent is behind that, but I'm assuming what it is that if a municipality is participating in the disaster, that they have to pay for their own services that they're providing for that municipality.
And that's kind of what I was leading to in my last response, because I know this, was it 2 years ago now, that we had all that flooding in Eau Claire County or stuff like that. I mean, it was Eau Claire County's responsibility for any of those expenses. And then we look out to the federal government, or we turn in applications for disaster recovery, and there's certain criteria that has to be met, and that has to be approved by the federal government in order for us to get those reimbursements. I think that's pretty accurate, if I think, Tim.
Okay.
Sounds like
that answers your question.
Looks like probably doesn't answer the question for Supervisor Chronic in terms of what's the responsibility of the individual municipality or the exposure for the municipality's liability, or?
Well, yeah, I suspect if a municipality has disaster in their area and they have their own equipment or whatever doing those things, they're responsible for that expense. I'm wondering if, and I talked with our fire chief, with the agreements that we have, that's not going to be an issue with the fire department. I don't know about local municipalities, but I think I understand.
Well, I think the key terms are services rendered. So, if you're sending out your ambulance or your fire truck or whatever, you're paying for that fire truck or ambulance. But if there's something more that's a result of the disaster and it's going to need federal aid or state aid, that's probably where the money source is going to come from. Is that fair statement, Supervisor Gibson?
Pretty much the way I understood it when we went through the process this last time.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or discussion? I see none, so please take your keypads and vote. It's on file 91. The motion is to make certain changes to chapter 2.36 of the code as described. And that motion is adopted unanimously. Moving on to file 93.
Adopting the 2018 annual work plan for the Parks and Forest Department to comply with the County Forest Administration Grant Program.
I have a motion on this, please. A motion by Supervisor Troutnagel, second by Supervisor Gatlin, and an explanation by Supervisor Lavelle.
Thank you, Chairman Moore. What this is a work plan that we do have every year, and this is one of the requirements in order to establish or to apply for the wage and fringe benefit grant from the state, which involves approximately $54,500 $500. Are we gonna get all the work done? Hopefully, but we might not, but it's a plan anyway, so. It's plus $54,500.
Thank you, Supervisor Lavelle, for those comments. Any questions of Supervisor Lavelle or any discussion on this matter concerning the Parks and Forest Department's work plan? I see no request to speak, so it appears you're ready to vote, so please take your keypad and vote. The motion, once again, it's file 99, concerning file 93, and the motion is to adopt the 2018 annual work plan. And that motion is adopted unanimously. Moving on to file 94.
Authorizing payment of vouchers over $10,000 issued during the month of November 2017.
May I have a motion, please? Motion by Supervisor Mortimer, second by Supervisor Leary. Any questions on vouchers this month? You'll find them on pages 41 and 42 of the meeting packet. Any questions or discussions concerning this month's vouchers? I see none, so please vote on the motion, file 94, authorizing payment of vouchers over $10,000 issued during the month of November. And Supervisor McKinney, if you'd vote one more time there, it didn't take for some reason. Thank you very much, and that motion's adopted unanimously. File 90.
Authorizing the sale of tax deed property to former owner Che Nunnery for $21,780.47, directing the Corporation Council to prepare the quitclaim deed and the county clerk to execute said quitclaim deed.
May I have a motion on this, please? Motion by Supervisor Bates with a second by Supervisor Henning and an explanation by Supervisor Dunning. And I will note there was some additional background information came in a separate email from the meeting packet, but Supervisor Dunning.
Okay, well, what I'm aware of is that this is property that we have taken in on a tax deed process, and now the former owner is wanting to buy it back. So he's buying it back for the delinquent taxes plus the special taxes, interest, and penalties. So.
Thanks very much. Ed, do you want to add anything? That's what it is. Okay, any questions for concerning this matter? I see none, so if you please vote on file 90, authorizing the sale of tax deed property to former owner Che Nunnery for $21,000 plus. Supervisor Steinhauer, if you'd re-vote there, please. This didn't take for some reason. Thank you very much. It's adopted unanimously. File 95.
This resolution is designating officials' authorization to declare official intent under reimbursement bond regulations.
May I have a motion on this matter? Motion by Supervisor Smyer, second by Supervisor Lavelle, and an explanation by Supervisor Dunning.
Every year the county does capital projects or funds capital projects. The money is many times borrowed all in one lump sum at some point during the year. Many of these projects could have been started in January or throughout the year. In order for us to, for the county to be repaid by the borrowed funds, they need a certain procedure to be followed. And our auditors have recommended that, and the bonding regulations require that we have appropriate signatures to approve this, and we can do it at the beginning of the year. In this case, the county administrator or the finance director would be authorized to approve the payback of the to the county of the expenditures for capital projects. And that is what this particular resolution is for.
Thank you for the explanation. Any questions or discussion on this matter? Any questions or discussion? I see none. It appears you're ready to vote, so please do so at this time on file 95. The motion is to adopt the resolution designating officials authorized to declare official intent under reimbursement bond regulations. That's adopted unanimously. And file 96.
Declaration of official intent to reimburse expenditures from proceeds of borrowing.
A motion by Supervisor Smyer with a second by someone, Supervisor Leary, thank you. And Supervisor Dunning, another explanation.
Well, this is a follow-up to the first one. Since we didn't have this in place before, we are now taking action on the expenditures that were related to highway and other budgets throughout for this year, for 2017. So this is authorizing payment to ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Supervisor Dunning or any discussions on this one? And I see no questions or discussion, so please vote on file 96. The motion is to declare our official intent to reimburse expenditures from proceeds of borrowing. And that's adopted unanimously. And our last item of business this evening are appointments.
The appointment of Shane Anderson to the Groundwater Advisory Committee, appointment of David G. Tesh to the Veterans Service Commission, and Sandra McKinney to the County Housing Authority.
May I have a motion on that, Supervisor? Okay, let's see, there we go. Yeah, this is now got, hey, who's up first or second? Okay, we'll go give Dunning one, and who did Wilkie earlier, Crock. We'll go with Supervisor Crock. We have a legitimate legal motion before the body of appointments. Any questions on those appointments? Seeing none, all in favor of those appointments, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas, have a great holiday. We're at the end of our agenda. Meeting's adjourned.
This program was brought to you by a cooperation between Newsworks and Eau Claire County. Newsworks is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, please contact us via phone at 715-839-5067 or online at valleymediaworks.org.